Hello, folks. Welcome back to Love Works. It's a little bit crazy in the studio here this morning, but I'm really excited about getting back into our candidate series. We've got two fantastic guests today, Gary Hopper and Al Baldasaro. I met Gary at the State House last December, and I was on his show in January. I didn't cause any problems. I'm hoping it returns the favor today. Good morning, Mr. Hopper. Welcome to the show.
Hi, good morning. How you doing?
Excellent, excellent. Ever since I met you, I was...
You've been in therapy.
Well, yeah, and after
okay.
therapy, I watched the movie Easy Rider, because you
Right.
had told me that if ever I need to remember how to pronounce your last name, think of Dennis Hopper.
Dennis Hopper, right.
And then I found out you ride a motorcycle.
Yes.
So I refer to you when I talk to my friends as Gary Easy Rider Hopper. Just
Easy-
want to let you know that. So anyways.
Yeah, I actually went to California and back with a Trump bumper sticker on the back of my motorcycle in
Did you?
16.
And you made it.
I did. I only
Wow.
got cut off in New York, and
Right. Yeah.
people signaled me, but my eyes aren't so good, so I'm sure they waved.
Perfect. Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. They were waving. Happy,
They were
happy
waving.
to see you.
Yeah, they were.
Okay, let's get into a little bit about who Gary Hopper is. Now, I know you were supposed to be on the show a while back, but lo and behold, it turned out to be your wedding anniversary.
Yes, my
And
favorite wife didn't
she's-
seem to think that was a great idea to do the show
Yeah.
instead of our...
Yeah, and it would have been hard to get back here from Maine from all that ways.
Yeah.
But I have to congratulate you on 39 years of marriage. You have two
Well,
adult-
her. You would congratulate her.
Well, I think it takes two to tango that
Okay.
long, especially. You had to do something right along the way, right?
Not necessarily, but
True. She's just very forgiving. Is that the problem?
well, yes.
Okay,
Yes.
good, good.
Yes.
I can't thank you enough for being here. And you started out in you were originally elected in 2000.
Correct.
And what was the impetus of getting you to run at that point?
Cute story. So, if you watch the news for the last 30 or 40 years,
Mhm.
I have known the news is rigged forever. Okay.
Good point.
I call NPR National Propaganda Radio.
Okay.
My son was like in school and he thought it stood for National Propaganda Radio. He was really embarrassed when he came home and was mad at me because he didn't know what NPR actually stood for.
Wow.
Okay,
Wow.
this goes way back because they've been perverting the Constitution forever.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah.
they have lied about what the Second Amendment is about.
Mhm.
If people listen to National Propaganda Radio, they probably believe that it has something to do with hunting. It has absolutely zero to do with hunting. There is nothing about hunting in the Constitution. It is completely regulated, able to be regulated by the government.
Mhm.
Hunting is, but
Yeah.
not your Second Amendment rights. That's just one issue that they're completely twisted around. Because the right to bear arms is about maintaining the balance of power in the hands of the people.
Right.
Because if the government has all the power, we become their subjects.
Exactly.
That's what the Second Amendment is for. It's almost, not exclusively, it's also about being able to defend yourself wherever you are.
Right.
But primarily, it's about maintaining that balance.
Right.
That's why it follows right after the right of free speech. Free speech isn't so you can post pornography all over the place.
Right.
Free speech is so that you and I can sit here on cable television and talk badly about the government.
Right. Right.
That's
And
what
point
it's
out their
for, is to
defects.
keep the government in check. The
Exactly.
Second Amendment is the same thing. It's keeping the balance of power in the hands of the people.
Mhm.
Okay?
It's our responsibility.
So
to do that.
in 2000, there was a guy who was running, had retired. There was a seat open in Ware, and there was a gentleman that was going to run who was an Episcopal priest who really didn't understand the Second Amendment. He said he supported it, but you could tell he really didn't care.
Mhm.
It's like,
Tell me what you want to hear.
yeah, basically. And he's a nice guy, but he's also extremely liberal. He wanted an income tax and things like that. And so I go by Edmund Burke. What was it? His name? Burke.
That sounds familiar.
I don't think I got the right first name. Anyway, his statement was, "All is necessary for evil to succeed is good men do nothing."
Right.
That is like my motto. I think it's on my Facebook as my motto.
Yeah.
It's something to live by.
Absolutely.
The only, like for instance, people are going to maybe not vote because they don't care.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not reasonable. Your requirement is to fight against evil. I don't care who you are, when you are. If you're a Christian, especially a Christian,
Mm-hmm.
you are tasked with standing up in the gap against evil.
Right.
Okay, and so that motto convinced me that I should at least try to figure out if God wants me to do it, I'll do it. So I made a deal with my employer. I've been a tool maker for I was a tool maker for a long time, and I talked to my employer. They says, well, as long as you make up the time,
Yeah.
work Saturdays and stuff. So I lost all my overtime for the first 6 months of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Lost tons of vacation time.
Yeah.
And ran for office, and then I won, and it was like I felt like that, the proverbial dog catching the car. And now what?
Yeah.
And so I won, and it was pretty awesome. It was, I remember sitting there being sworn in. You get sworn in December, and for people that might be new to this, before you can even vote on anything, before a legislator is allowed to vote on speaker, any bill, anything, they have to swear to uphold the Constitution.
Right.
If you can't do that, you should never run.
Right.
Okay, so that was, and I just remember being sworn in and looking at the pictures of Lincoln and Washington up on the back of the State House on the wall, and it's just like, wow.
Yeah.
It was very, very humbling.
You're part of the community now. Yeah.
Instead of being an observer of history, I was now part of it.
Right. I'm sure it's a great feeling.
It's wicked cool.
Yeah, and you've been around for quite a while. You've had the ups and downs along the way, but you've been in and out, and the work you've done. I know we talked in the past about HB 1301, which was dear to my heart, the no fault divorce bill, which didn't happen, but your effort in that really brought my attention to you. And when as I watch your show, which by the way, Gary hosts tentatively hosts a TV show up in Manchester Community Television called Rock, Paper, Hand Grenades. And as I watch some of those shows, the work that you're doing on that show is fantastic, because you're doing what I'm hoping to do here, is expose things that need to be seen by the New Hampshire public, so that changes can be made to better the state.
Well, the thing is, with a show like this and like my show, the advantage is you can actually, it's unfiltered information, as opposed to if you hear about a news story about legislation up at the State House, you'll get like a soundbite from this one. That's a show. That's done. Right. You really never understand what the bill is or what it really does. Mm-hmm. So you can actually delve into things a lot deeper. Yeah, it's been an awesome experience working with you and Al and different legislators around the state, Kim Rice, Kevin Abard. Yeah. And learning about the process and how it works. And if you don't know anything about it, learn. It's exciting, and it's an opportunity for us as American citizens, American taxpayers, to get to be represented the way we're supposed to. And this election is so important. Insane. I know you've done a lot in the last 18 years in the legislature. You're on the Judiciary Committee now? That's correct. And that's focus is basically on making sure that the court process is handled properly, according to the Constitution. Correct. We the biggest bill, we give an example of what we do. The big one that we had this year was Marcy's Law. Right. Which if you believe the liberal morons, it was to help victims of sexual abuse. Right. It did a lot of things, but that wasn't one of them. Yeah. And in fact, I don't want to. I could spend a half an hour just talking about Marcy's Law, but just to give you a very simple part of that is most of your constitutional amendments are about protecting the citizens from the government, from the overreach of government. Right. Marcy's Law protected the government from the people. Okay.
Okay. I did a little
It
bit
gave
of work.
them immunity.
Mhm.
It's like,
I did a little bit
that
of work.
should have been enough. That one piece should have been enough for everybody to say, whoa, 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 wait a second. I swore to uphold the Constitution. And this is completely perverts it.
Right. I did a little bit of work with a couple of people on Marcy's Law,
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
and I learned the other side from what you're telling me,
Yeah.
and I was misled. And
Yes.
until the facts came out, because if you're watching mainstream media like you were talking about, it's so convoluted. They will make it sound great.
Oh, it
you
was
know,
the greatest
they're,
thing.
They're meeting their agenda, which
Yeah.
is not what we're here for. I don't think.
But but the thing, Marcy's Law transfers into what we saw in D.C., that the fiasco in D.C.
Mm-hmm.
Because under Marcy's Law, as soon as you are charged,
Yeah.
okay, as soon as you are charged with, and by the way, it was supposed to be about victims. It was victims of anything, including burglary. Somebody breaks your window, now you're a victim, and anybody
Right.
that's affected by that's a victim. It was like the spectrum of victimhood is amazing under Marcy's Law.
Mhm.
Okay, so you're accused.
Yeah.
Cops say, well, yeah, we got charged. We're charging you with assault.
Right.
As soon as you are charged with assault, the person who assaulted you is a victim.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
That means if they're a victim, somebody is guilty.
Right.
Correct?
Correct.
So why do we need a court process?
I get that. I absolutely get that.
But under Marcy's Law, they are a victim as soon as you are charged.
right. And
That is a complete perversion of due process.
yeah. Yeah.
Okay? They're an alleged victim, and you're the alleged perpetrator, but they can't be defined as the victim because if they're the victim, you're guilty.
Right.
And that's what Marcy's Law did.
Okay.
As soon as you're charged, they become the victim. If they're the victim, they have the right to every hearing you go to,
Mhm.
every if you have a kid in school, it was arguably if they had the school wanted to have a meeting with the parents about the charges. Let's say you were 16 or 14.
Yeah.
You're 14 now. Just,
Oh, wouldn't it be nice?
yeah,
Go
right.
on,
So
yeah.
if you're 14, you've been charged with sexual assault. There's a meeting at the school about this assault and whether or not they want you to stay in the school or move you to a different school.
Right.
The victim of that crime has to be allowed to go to that meeting.
Okay.
And anybody tangentially affected by that, their mother, their brother, their sister,
Mm-hmm.
and they get to speak at that meeting.
Right. Right. It's crazy.
It was insane.
Yeah.
It was insane that we had 21 state senators signed off on it.
Yeah.
The fact that that got to the New Hampshire House is amazing how bad it is.
Yeah.
But it transfers into she's signaling. I don't
Yeah.
know what that means.
Yeah, we're running low on time. I apologize. I know it goes fast. Really, we've been talking now for at least 15, 20
I
minutes.
got
thought it
another
was
couple
more.
hours in me.
I was hoping. I'm hoping maybe you can come back and we can pick this up because there's so much more I wanted to talk to you about.
Yeah.
But let me ask you a personal question. What's the best thing that's happened to you in the house over the last 18 years?
Al Baldasaro.
Okay, and do you want to explain a little bit about that, or just be? Well, you called him your mentor when he walked into the room.
Yeah, no, he's great. No, truthfully, the best thing is some of the awesome people I've got to work with, some really honorable people.
Mm.
As much as you hear about the dishonorable people and the people who are being doing things for
Corrupt.
themselves,
Yeah.
there are people like Al Baldasaro. There's quite a few of them
Mm-hmm.
who are just honorable and doing what they believe is right, period.
Yeah.
And that's not party line thing. I know a lot of Democrats who have a lot of integrity and are trying to do the right thing. I disagree with what they're trying to do,
Yeah.
but that doesn't mean I don't respect the fact that they're trying to do it.
Right. Right.
And there's a lot of people up there. It's pretty cotton picking awesome. The amount of stuff I've learned is amazing.
Yeah, it is. I think that's the
From
most.
a dumb Irish machinist to,
a perennial state rep.
I mean, yeah, and they have to basically retrain me after lunch, but
Hey, whatever it takes. But
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
what I love about you. You're willing to do whatever it takes to make your situation work, and I love that. God, I wish we had more time. I really do. But the whole morning's kind of been messed up on different levels from different things. I know. I'm not sure where Al went to, but I want to. Here he comes. I want to thank you for coming on, and like I said, I hope we can get back together because I really want to delve more into different issues with you.
Okay.
We didn't get a chance to share much when I was on your show,
Yeah.
and unfortunately, time was an issue today. So for some reason, we keep running into roadblocks. But
Whatever.
I hope somewhere down the road we can get back together again, be it here or on your show, and really get into some of the heavy issues. You're up for election in November. I'm confident you'll get
We'll see.
reelected. You got my vote. You always have.
I don't
And,
know if the people in the state don't see through the insanity on the left, and
Mhm.
they vote for a blue wave.
Yeah.
We get what we deserve,
Right. Right.
and it's going to
Yeah.
be very, very bad.
Yeah. By the way, Jessica Love said to say hi.
Oh, okay,
She's
great.
doing great. And like I said, thank you so much, and I really look forward to working with you again in the future.
All right, take care, young man.
Thanks, Al. Gary.
Gary, whatever my name is.
Okay, hey, thanks. Okay, wow, that was great. I feel bad because I really wanted to get more into the issues with Gary, but anyways, there's a few things I need to bring up about upcoming events. Last show we mentioned there'd be a meet and greet at the Grind Rail Trail in Wyndham. Some issues came up and it's not going to work out, so we won't be doing the meet and greet there on the 27th, on the 20th. But we will be doing the meet and greet the day before the election at Marianne's, and I'm going to look to try to set something else up in town between now and then. All right. And plus, there's a big election coming up in less than a month. So take a look at what you're doing, get to know your candidates, and really get the information you need to make the educated decision. All right, my next guest. I met Al at a meet and greet prior to the primary. I'd seen him on the TV a few times doing, like Gary was talking about, news clip. Getting his opinion. I think the last one might actually have been on Marcy's Law. I'm not sure. Probably a veterans affair. But welcome to the show, Al Baldasaro.
Well, thank you, TJ. It's an honor to be here since we're neighbors here.
I know, yeah.
And from Londonderry and coming over to Derry.
Yeah, I'm real excited. It was a pleasure for you to see you at the meet and greet. I really wasn't expecting it because I knew who you were, but we had never met. And then,
Well, you know how I found out about it was Ann Kopp is a very good friend of mine.
Okay, yeah.
And when she was a state rep, very awesome conservative freshman rep, but she just happened to move at the end of the election year into Derry. And it's a shame she had to resign because she was a great Liberty candidate.
Yeah, I did a lot of campaigning with Ann up leading up to the primary. We were at the West Runningbrook School together, going back and forth, side to side, helping each other out, endorsing different
And
candidates.
she's a go-getter.
She is. Wow.
And I've known her for years, Ann, there.
Yeah.
As an activist, and then before she was a state rep.
Yeah. At the meet and greet, I was still at work. I work across the street from Mary Ann's. I work overnight. And I look out the window and I see her putting up signs outside the building. I'm like, wow, this was, the meet and greet was at 8 and she was there at 6:30.
Right.
She is definitely a go-getter. And in fact, I talked to Ann. She's going to be coming on the show and then on the next episode, in fact.
Right. I'm just surprised she ran as a libertarian rather than waiting for the next election.
She actually ran as a Republican and then switched over to libertarian afterwards,
To see if she can get a seat. But you'd be knocking out a Republican in Derry there, which, that's a tough one. Especially when Derry's like Londonderry, a lot of Republicans versus, Democrats.
I like that they have the Republican committee meetings at Halligan's, which is a tavern here in town.
Yes.
This says a lot about the party.
My cousin owns a business here in Derry, Tim's Transmission.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's my father's brother's son.
Really? It's a small world.
Sure is.
It really is, yeah.
He's a great guy.
So, Al, let's. I'll ask you the same thing I asked Gary. You've been in the State House now since what?
2006. I got elected.
2006. And what was the impetus for you to to pursue office back
Well,
then?
what happened is I had the state steal 5 acres of my land to an airport access mitigation program where they filled wetlands to extend the airport.
Right.
So they had to either buy per federal law or make new wetlands. So they bought up the whole cohorts, and they took 4 acres of it. My land was wetlands. It's only wet because there's a dam. It's keeping the water in there because there's a brook that comes all the way down from Canada up in through New Hampshire. So anyways, they gave me $10,000. So I fought them. And I have sewage and water at the end of my property. So I really don't have the setbacks like somebody else has. So they went against the law, the Lands and Appeal Board, Tax and Lands Appeal Board, and so I fought them. And I lost. My next step was to go to the Supreme Court. So they made decisions under false pretenses without complying with the law.
Right.
So I said, well, if I can't beat you on the outside, I'll beat you on the inside.
Right.
So in 2003, I fought I went and spoke on the eminent domain Constitution Amendment at the State House. I pushed that. That passed in the state. You cannot take land now and give it to a private entity.
Excellent.
So, and then I decided, well, I'm going to run. Plus, I grew up in a political family.
Right.
I grew up in Cambridge, Massachusetts. My grandfather was a 4-term mayor. I grew up with Tip O'Neill, the Kennedys.
Yeah.
So I understand. I was a Democrat for many years, up until Ronald Reagan, my second year as my commander-in-chief, because I served 22 years in the U.S. Marine Corps.
Awesome.
And I retired as a first sergeant, so I'm not a politician. I'm a tell-it-like-it-is guy. And
Yeah. And I got that the minute I first met you, when we first started talking. It's like, this guy's not a politician. He's a public servant.
Right.
This is who I want in my representing me.
And I don't know if you're aware, I was actually Donald Trump's National Veterans Chair. I helped him write his veterans plan. I traveled around the country with him, giving speeches all over the country.
Fantastic.
So it was fun.
That's
I just
great.
didn't want to work in D.C.
Yeah, you do. Now you do a lot of work with the veterans. You're part of the state federal relations and
Right, I'm the vice chair.
Vice chair. And what does that committee consist of? What is that? What is the purpose?
What
of
it
that
is, it's state and federal relations and veterans affairs. It can say we deal with all the constitutional issues, resolutions that go to Washington, federal issues, but we also deal with all the veterans issues.
Right.
And I've passed a lot of laws in New Hampshire. But see, any bill that I put in, I put Democrats in because I keep telling them veterans issues should be nonpartisan.
Exactly.
But some of the veterans here say, the Democrats say, we support veterans issues. But when it comes time behind the scenes there, they vote against them.
Right.
They rather see other social programs and things going on. But I call them out with a roll call on the floor.
Good.
So I make damn well sure transparency is there.
That's important.
So
It doesn't happen enough.
No, and I've been fortunate to pass a lot of bills.
Yeah.
But I also co-sponsored with a far-left progressive, Catherine Rogers, a state rep from Concord, on the protection of elderly, on being scammed and other stuff that was going on with family members and things. We never had a law protecting the elderly.
Yeah.
So we put one in,
Awesome.
making sure.
You see a lot of that on the news, and I don't have a lot of faith in mainstream media, but a lot of what they report is important issues, scams from other from agencies trying to make money out of disasters or whatever, and it's real easy for them to do.
Right.
So to be able to get that law passed was
Well, when you say you don't see a lot in the news, and the reason why you don't, because a lot of the media is controlled by the Democrats. The good things that we do in the State House never get outside the walls of the State House.
right.
Okay, and I've been tweeting longer than Donald Trump. Okay, and him and I have sat at tables talking. I educated him on the veterans issues. But I put things out that are controversial, that are not PC. I don't believe in political correctness. I believe in telling you like it is.
Yeah.
Okay? I didn't endorse, take the oath and to support and defend the Constitution of my life for 22 years in the Marine Corps to give up 1 inch of my freedom of my constitutional rights.
Absolutely. And my dad was a Marine in World War II. He was a staff sergeant, and I can't thank you enough for your service, especially knowing what you went through. It's fantastic, and you're a great man, LW.
Well, thank you.
I appreciate it very much.
I was too young for Vietnam, but I served in Desert Storm. Okay, so I was fortunate there. But I have a lot of medical issues, too.
Yeah.
For my time in the service. And, but I just keep pushing, take the hill.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's all
Actually,
we can
I'm
do.
glad you weren't in Nam, because who knows where you'd be right now. You know, that was a whole different situation.
Well,
back
that's
then.
true. I mean, you're talking jungle versus desert.
Right.
That went a lot longer.
Mm-hmm.
And now with the new technology, I mean, you see more and more veterans coming home
Yeah.
with no limbs, you know, but we're saving lives. Before, years ago, they died on the battlefield.
Right.
Now
right.
we're able to keep them alive, and you know, it's a win-win for the veteran community with the medical technology that we have.
Until they get back home and find all the dysfunction in the government keeping them from their benefits. But that's a whole other story.
Well, hopefully you can talk to your Derry reps here that support me for running for the Speaker of the House.
That's, you know, I wanted to touch on that. We got 5 minutes left. I want to hit on this as much as possible. What is your purpose for becoming Speaker of the House?
What it is, I'm tired of the old boy network running the House. I'm tired of us losing good Republican bills. I believe in the Constitution and I support the platform. I might not support it 100%, but I run as a Republican. I'm an elected official.
Yeah.
We have representatives that vote sometimes with the Democrats a lot for either taxes or new fees.
Yeah.
12 years I haven't voted on any new taxes. I vote to live within our means, like I have to do at my house or you have to do.
Right.
We all live on the budget. The state should be on a budget.
Absolutely.
My goal is to cut, you know, the spending.
Good.
And take care of, you know, people with the mental health, disabilities, people that need a hand up, not the hand out.
Okay. And now that being said, what do you know about, I think we touched on this briefly when we had breakfast. Did we talk about Title IV?
On Title IV, yes.
And the funding that comes into the state from that?
Yeah, and the SSI, or you're talking about to the Social Security, or the education?
No, Parts D and E really.
On the Medicaid.
No, it's actually family law. Where the
Oh, that's
courts
right, the
are
family courts,
incentivized.
yes, I'm sorry.
They're incentivized.
Right. Because under Title IV, there's a lot of areas there.
I know.
You know, and
It's very convoluted. I've tried to read it.
And when you're looking at the family courts, I sat in the family courts. I was part of Bill O'Brien's redress of grievance committee that they put in place. Prior to that, the Democrats wouldn't sanction our redress because if anyone opens up the New Hampshire Constitution, and I always carry the New Hampshire and the U.S. Constitution in my pocket.
Right.
You know what I mean? The reason I do, because I don't want to be wrong. I'm, you know, forgetful sometimes, and I want to make sure verbatim on what we talk about.
Yep.
And in the New Hampshire Constitution, it talks about redress of grievance. The people have the right to address the state legislator.
Right.
But the Democrats stopped it. They refused. Bill O'Brien put it in place.
Yeah.
And then the next moderate speakers stopped it also.
Right.
And it's a no-brainer because the people should have the right to go. In the court system, family courts are broken.
Absolutely. You know, you talk about the due process. It's just not there.
Right. And
family court makes it up as they go
And
along.
the kids are being used as pawns.
Absolutely.
Fathers are running away from their children. It should be a 50-50,
Yeah.
you know, and taking care of the children, keeping the father involved in the family.
Exactly.
I'm a family guy. You know,
Yep.
I believe in family values, and I stand by that.
I'm a firm believer that the dysfunction in American society today is because of the destruction of the American family, created by, honestly, the Democrats, specifically Hillary Clinton when she wrote Title IV, Parts D and E. That's in the Social Security Act. She did that in the mid-'90s, and if you look at the opioid crisis today, I don't think it's a coincidence that all of these overdoses and all the dysfunction that's happening is a result of broken families.
Right.
Every single one of them. I would bet a paycheck on that. And it's because of the American family is not being helped to grow. You know, it's being torn apart for financial reasons.
Right.
And that's why when the state funding comes in, I know it's supposed to go through the executive council, but it doesn't. And
Well, it goes through the budget process, and then the budget will turn around and divvy it out, and then the Health and Human Services will do contracts, and then it'll go to the Executive Council.
Right.
But then certain grants come in and bypass the legislation. It should come to us because there's carrots there that the government, you know, throws out there, and it's, you know, government screws things up.
Absolutely.
You know,
If they took that money, that funding that came in, and instead of paying judges to collect money from you know, non-conservative parents, put that money towards the treatment. Put that towards education for parents. You know, marriage counseling, whatever the case may be. You know, marriage has become a 4-letter word. It's almost a it's almost a,
Right.
it's a bank account at this point.
We should be pushing marriage. We should pushing moms and dads involved with the children, not pushing them away.
Exactly.
We should be pushing adoptions,
Exactly.
not killing babies. You know what I mean? That's just my opinion, and I stand by it.
Absolutely. And you know, any sane parent, any sane American would feel the same way.
Right.
I'm just disturbed that the tax dollars I've been paying for the last 40 years are being distributed without my consent.
I agree.
That's the bottom line. But anyways, unfortunately, we've run out of time again, and I could talk to you for hours about the different subjects that are going on, and I hope you'll come back on after the election. And, I look forward to working with you, especially with the Veterans Affairs. I want you to meet some people here in Derry who can.
Oh, without a
make
doubt.
some,
I know a lot of people in Derry. I'm a life member of VFW.
Okay.
Derry Post is my post.
You know Dick Tripp then?
Oh, yes, I know them all.
Okay,
Yeah.
good, excellent.
But yeah, thank you for having me. I mean, you know, Derry is a great partner to Londonderry, and we work hand in hand,
Yep.
you know, and doing things together.
Excellent. I hope we'll see you at the meet and greet the day before the election.
Time will tell. That's a busy time for us.
I know it is. I'm trying to make it a tradition at Mary
Right.
Ann's. We'll see what happens.
I love Marian's.
Great place. All right, thanks, Al, and I will be in touch and very soon, and we'll get and you know, once the election's over, things will settle down a little bit, but we'll see where we can go from there.
Outstanding.
All right, thanks. All right, folks. I hope we got some more valuable information out to you. There's a lot of stuff I wasn't able to touch on because of the time limits that came up due to circumstances, but you know, I'm glad we were able to talk to Gary and Al, two great men, and I look forward to working with both of them in the future. We talked a lot about mainstream media and the dysfunction therein. It's very simple that as I watch the commercials and the news reports from WMUR, and I read the Union Leader, you know, you hear a lot about Chris Pappas, Eddie Edwards, Sununu Kelly, but you don't get to hear about Gilletta Jarvis or Dan Belforti. They did their Facebook Live video interviews, but you know, there's not equal. It's almost yellow journalism from where I sit. But be that as it may, we're looking forward to our next candidate show. It'll be hopefully it'll be with Dan Kopp and Dan Belforti, the Libertarian candidate for the 1st Congressional District seat. It's been a great show today, and remember the election's a little bit more. No, it's 3 weeks away today. 3 weeks today. So get as much information as you can. If you need help, contact us at LoveWorks. We're online everywhere. You can reach me at tjmoonin@gmail.com. If you don't know what to do, I can point you in the right direction. If I don't know, I'll find somebody who does. So keep up the good work, everyone. There's been some great things happening, and some amazing epiphanies come about through this process. I've learned so much about the education or the election process, and I'm really looking forward to moving forward with this in the future. So get out there, get the information, learn your candidates, and just try. You know, make an educated vote. Don't just vote for a name. Okay, it's really easy. And please just get out and vote. Get to know the information and vote, because you know the government's not going to change itself. It's up to us to make the change. It's our responsibility, as both today's candidates did. You know, we are responsible for making sure our government is run properly, and we are represented the way we want to be, and the way that the forefathers set out. So, everyone have a great couple of weeks. We'll be back in a couple of weeks with a new show, and have a great day. And just remember, you know, love is just a word until you give it meaning. Thank you all so much for joining us, and be sure to be here next time. Good night, Andrea.